Okay, I want to tell you a little story. One day in 2015, around Christmas time, for my mom's birthday, we were traveling. We went to a hot springs and we ran into some friends who were also traveling, and they are sailors. They actually go way back with my folks. His brother I always called my uncle. So I had never met him before, but I knew who he was because their voices sound really similar and they look like brothers. I knew exactly who he was, and he had never met me before, but I felt like he was so familiar because I had gone sailing with his brother when I was 5 from Jamaica to San Martin, I think. My parents pulled me out of kindergarten and I took all these workbooks. I probably learned more doing self-study than I would have in kindergarten, but I was always a good student. I like to self-study. I'm a self-starter. That's why I love creating stuff on Patreon, because I can be my own boss, producing new videos and new songs, and people that are on Patreon support me and have that trust and faith in me, and they want to be part of that journey. So if you think that sounds cool, join patreon.com/celestialbluemusic for any amount you want per month, and you'll get all this stuff I make, all the songs, a new video every week, lyrics, behind the scenes, stories like this. Okay, so December 2015, coming up on 4 years ago, ran into these people, and she is just this beautiful English woman. She does yoga on their sailboat all the time. She's just fit, and she has these gorgeous blue eyes. And we hung out at the hot springs and we had a wonderful time. She had told me the story of how they met. I want to tell the story a little bit differently. Many years ago, no, not that many, but it was before I quit my engineering job. So I was a miserable little puppy, 80 hours a week. I was driving 2,000 miles a week on average. So some weeks were more than that. So I was hardly ever home. I was managing about $1 million, depending on what time of year it was. And that was all funding that I acquired at various seasons throughout the years, running a team of 15. And I was the senior management for a branch office. So at that time, my husband had taken a job that was kind of his first job and closer to his craft, because he's a furniture designer by degree, furniture design, with a minor in sculpture and almost a double major in art history. I don't know why he didn't just get it, but anyway, that cost more than engineering school, by the way. We're still paying for that. He didn't have any vacation time. I was completely burned out. I'd been doing that kind of work at that pace and that style for 13 years straight, and I was very burned out. And my dad had a friend, and his friend had a catamaran, and he offered to take us sailing. It was supposed to be for 3 weeks for $300 from Guatemala all the way to Lighthouse Reef and the Blue Hole in Belize. And I was so excited. I'm a dive master and I love scuba diving. I would live underwater if I could. Yeah, I'm a total sea monkey, and I live in the middle of New Mexico. So I said, I really want to do this trip. Tom said I can't go. I hadn't traveled without him since we were 16 and 17. I had been taking him on all my family vacations with me, and honestly, we had been in the same circles since we were 7. So I had never been on vacation on a trip by myself without him all of that time. Okay, well, it was my sister-in-law was pregnant with my nephew. So my brother, my dad, and I decided we would go on this sail together, which was so cool because I don't think I've ever traveled with my dad without my mom. And we get along like peas and carrots, and it was an exciting chance to go on a trip with my brother before his first child was born, and I figured like I wouldn't really see him after that, which was true. I don't see him at all. His wife does not like me, and I've been told not to contact them. You know, they live 3 miles away from me. I've never seen their house. Probably have songs that I wrote then. I do. I can tell you what year it was from my songs. Hey, these do serve a purpose. It was 2012. We never made it to Lighthouse and the Blue Hole. I was really, really pissed. And we cut the sailing trip like in half because my sister-in-law was being a total B to my mom, and they were back like where the trip was going to end. I didn't know all of this at the time, but she was calling the satellite phone on the boat or whatever, like constantly, and just coming down really hard on my brother to turn around and come back. So one night the captain was like, we're leaving tomorrow at 4 a.m. And I was like, what in the hell? We were supposed to go, we were at Glover's, and we were supposed to keep going up the Belizean Great Barrier Reef for a lifetime opportunity to go to Lighthouse Reef and the Blue Hole on a catamaran, which is the best way to travel because you do not have to pay, you know, $300 a night or whatever the hell crazy shit it is to stay at these resorts that are there. You stay for free on the boat with your own food and beer and your own sheets and bed. And anyway, but before that happened, I was sitting in a hammock on, what was it, Marisol Island, I think it's called. Just hanging out. And all of a sudden, this gorgeous woman, done hat and a beautiful sarong, blowing in the breeze, and with her curly hair and her sparkling blue eyes, she comes walking down the dock, and she says, hello, in her beautiful English accent, and it's Jane. And I had heard about Jane, but had never met her. And she sat down next to me in the hammock, and you know, that can be really uncomfortable when two people are like unbalanced or whatever, but for us it was like I could have sat there forever. And we had a cosmic conversation, and she told me about how she had met Jim and Becky. 3 years later, I ran into both of them traveling again. He asked me to write the song for Jane. And the reason I could is because I had collected component information in 2012. So, isn't that cool? Okay, so after everybody was, you know, getting ready to depart back to our respective places, I was telling him about Patreon and what I was doing. That's how long I've been at this. He said, oh, you write music, huh? And he said, well, let me tell you what. He goes, I want a blues song for Jane, and will you write me one? And I said, yeah, I will. Granted, I'm gonna play this for you, and I'm not gonna play it in a blues style, but in my head I can totally hear it with blues production. But I'm gonna play it the kind of the way that I wrote it, because all I had when I was traveling was this. So this is what I wrote it on, but I'm gonna play it on guitar today because I want to share this video with them. And okay, let me finish the story. We went back to our Airbnb, which was on a lake, and it had like all these open lawns with no fences, and there were neighbors like all around and stuff. So I was trying to be kind of quiet. 4 years ago, I was pretty shy about letting anybody hear me play or like recording in front of anybody, and I still am. Let's be real, I still am. So my family was like, we're gonna go do this touristy dinner thing, and I was like, that does not sound fun to me at all. And honestly, like, I've been in the rental car with you and like, you know, side by side for a long time, and I am an introvert and I need alone time, and it's just time that I, you know, come out in the open with that with everybody that I know and acknowledge it and accept it and just deal with it like in the proper way, which is to just get that alone time so that I don't get aggravated. I'm in a much better mood if I do get some solo time. So they took off, and I thought, you know, geez, there's no competition. Maybe I'll open a bottle of wine and enjoy it as slowly as I want. So I sat on the lake, bottle of wine, pen and paper, my ukulele, and the song came that very night. When I get alone time, what do? I write songs. That's what I do. That's how I do. So I was so excited. I was like, okay, I've got to record this to prove that I wrote this song that was requested the same day. And so I did. I'd got this crappy iPad recording with wind and like bad lighting, and I was kind of whisper singing because the neighbors were like on either side, and I didn't want to draw any attention, but nevertheless, it was written, it was recorded, and I kept messing with it over the next couple of weeks. I think it was just a couple nights later, I wrote this other part to it, which is now my favorite part, but I never recorded that on video. Okay, so for 4 years, I didn't have their contact information, and I kept asking my parents, like, hey, can you put me in touch with them? Like, I want to share this song that I wrote. And usually my parents are really good about putting me in touch with people, you know, especially like, you know, when I don't want them to. But I could not get the contact information. And then I even talked to my uncle, and I was like, hey, I need to talk to your brother. Like, I wrote him a song, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, okay, whatever. So I don't know why. This is how the universe works though, right? But all of a sudden, after 4 years, I got an email from them. And it was because they signed up for my email list at celestialbluemusic.com. I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know where they found it or whatever. He said he'd had my card in his pocket ever since that day at the hot springs on December 4th, 2015, and had finally gone and signed up for my email list, got my newsletter, and then responded with his phone number, etc. I called and left a message, and I emailed back, and I sent a link to the video. And I was like, dude, after 4 years, I'm so excited to share this. The fact is that I wrote it the day that you asked me to. That very night, the song was written, and here it is. And I'm so excited to finally share it with you. And so it was pretty crazy cool. And he said, all right, I really like these guys. He goes, all right, here's my offer. You can go stay in our place in Jamaica anytime you want. And next February, we're going to be sailing from, I don't even remember. They're going to be doing some amazing sailing trip next February. And he's like, and you're invited. So, I really, really, really want to do that. And I guess I feel like I can't do that because I need to be here, like, earning money. But I would really like to do that. And if you want videos of me playing music on a sailing trip, join the Patreon, please. I need you. We need to make this dream come true. All right, that got really emotional. Without further ado, here is Blue-Eyed Jane. Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, sweetest pirate on the sea. Blue-eyed Jane, won't you sail this ship of love with me? You were love, lone and lost on the island of Bequia, when you fell into my arms and set me free. You're the captain of my heart, the first mate of my soul. And when you're in your arms spend a little time with me? Blue-eyed Jane, know you've been so very long at sea. Wrap me in your rigging, blow the wind into my sheets. We'll sail around the world with the blues beneath our feet. Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, you're the only one for me. We'll chart our course free and wide at sea. Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, a wild English child at sea. Blue-eyed Jane, won't you sail this ship of love with me? Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, the sweetest pirate on the sea. Blue-eyed Jane, won't you spend a little time with me? You're the captain of my heart, the first mate of my soul, and by your side is where I'll always be. Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, wild English child at sea. Blue-eyed Jane, won't you sail the ship of love with me? Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane. Wrap me in your rigging and blow the wind into my sheets. We'll sail around this world with the blues beneath our feet. Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, you're the only one for me. We'll chart our course free and wild at sea. Blue-eyed Jane, blue-eyed Jane, sweetest pirate on the sea. Blue-eyed Jane, won't you sail this ship of love with me? A little closer. I don't know why the camera just blinked. It freaks me out when that happens. Did Apple just take my screenshot? Alright, let's do this. This video is 22 minutes long.